This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the Farming Simulator 22 Map for Suppressions video. Today we're going to take a look at Kolonia. But before that, this video is brought to you by Gizmo UK and Paul Nadon Jr. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Kolonia map can be found over at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for PC players only. Let me read you a little bit of the description. Welcome to Kolonia. Map comes from Farming Simulator 19, and it is a map enriched with new areas that you know. The buildings on the map have been adapted to the latest Farm Sim 22 standards, and the map, despite the fact that it looks a bit Landsia, still very much resembles its guide. On this map, you will find 2 cow farms, 93 fields, including 6 grass meadows, 137 farmlands, a biogas plant, forest, sawmill, 5 sell points, including the train, diverse terrains, new shades of color on the map. Now, I'm not really sure what that really means, but I do know that we do have several new paintable textures that are available in the build mode. We also have productions that include a dairy, a mill, and a carpenter, amongst a few others. Now, this map does have 2 required mods that you will need to make sure that you also download. If you download this map from the Giants website, be sure to download those required mods. If you download the map from the in-game menu, don't worry, the game is going to download those for you. Those mods are the farmhouse and the building for colony. Now, in addition to those 2 mods, we are going to use the mods that we typically use when we take a look at maps. That is additional field info, additional game settings, field lease calculator, and precision farming. While we wait for the map to load on up, we're going to take a look at the log, and we're also going to talk about in farm manager mode or start from scratch. You will find that the farms look exactly how they are here in new farmer mode. In addition, you do not own any land at the start, but you do have the starting machinery that we have here in new farmer mode at the main starting farm. So in all play modes, we have our starting machinery, and in all play modes, the farms are pre-built. But you do not own any land in those alternate play modes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA. And at first glance, when we scroll out, we see that there's quite a bit of PDA here. And I do hope kind of in the future that maybe this map does get expanded to include some of this other area. But if we take a look at the lands, you will see that we are somewhat limited to a much smaller actual play area. Now, looking at the lands, we own Farmland ID number 1, which is the starting farm, as well as Farmland ID number 2, which is our only field that we own at the start. In addition, there is a possible second player farm that can be bought up here at Farmland ID 137. It is a cow farm, just like Farm ID 1. We can buy that one for $49,116, or we could buy Farm ID 1 for $22,272. This map does have a biogas plant on the map. That biogas plant is going to be located over here at Farm ID 116. That can be bought for $73,000. Now, you may see that there are a ton of plots here in town that we can buy. These are buyable, but I have not been able to actually go into any of these. They are all gated, but for whatever reason, like this one across the street, even if we buy this farmland, we can't go in it. So I'm not really sure why they're buyable, since if we do own them all, we're still not able to open the gates, and none of these buildings open up for us if we do indeed own the land. Let's go ahead and go back to the PDA. We do have the standard crop types available to us in Farm Sim 22. And if we come up here to our farmland lease screen, we're going to take a look at this because it's going to show us all of the buyable farmlands, how big those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any fields, what fields they include, then ultimately how much those farmlands are going to cost us. As you can see, that overall this is a smaller map, so the farm lands are going to be smaller. As such, the fields in those farmlands are also going to be smaller. And, well, the nice byproduct is the farmlands are fairly inexpensive. Now what we're going to do is take a look at our field calculator screen. And the field calculator screen is going to show us the specific fields and how large those fields are. We can always come back to our farmland lease screen and reference the farmlands with the field numbers to then get a good sense as to how much those specific fields are going to cost us if we go and want to buy them. But as you can see, most of these fields are going to be sub 1 hectare in size. We have a few that are larger than that. Field 74, for example, is 2.35 hectares in size. Let's go ahead and take a look and see how the precision farming soil map is applied to these fields. As you can see, we do have the generic soil map that is a part of the precision farming mod applied here. Just give you a good sense. The field that we own at the start, field 43, is all silty clay. In fact, most of the fields to the south of our starting farm are silty clay, whereas most of the fields to the north are either sandy loam or loamy sand. Taking a look at our crop counter, we do have a custom crop counter that is available to us here in this particular map. Also, if we take a look at our prices screen, you will see that we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that are available to us in Farm Sim 22. We also have the ability to sell all of our animal outputs, our silage, hay, straw, and grass. Then as we continue to move down and take a look at all of the base game productions, we do indeed have the ability to sell at least to one particular sell point all of our base game productions. Now we also do have the ability to buy bulk lime, and we also have a stone crusher pre-placed on this map. Now with respect to the platinum expansion productions, once again, we do not have the ability to sell any of the platinum expansion production items, but of course we could always put down the Silver Run Forest market in order to sell any of these items that we may want to put down. And if you are playing with pumps and hoses, we do indeed have the ability to sell our separated manure. And we start out with a very, very modest list of starting equipment. All of it is new, none of it is leased, and it all well maintained. Take a look at our animals. We do own a cow barn at the main starting farm, but we do not have any cows. This map does have contracts available. We do not own any production chains at the start, and this map does have the 100 Elm Creek collectibles. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and get you started by picking up our blue cow right across the street from where we load on into the map. And before we go and take a look at our starting fleet and our farm, right behind where we career start at, this is the sell point that is going to be where we're going to bring pretty much all of our production goods to kind of this farmer's market area. And we're going to unload right here in the middle. Let's go ahead and take a look at our starting fleet. We start out with the New Holland T6 125 small tractor. We have the Dudes Far Topliner 4090H harvester that is paired up with the 4090H harvester rain header. Then we have the Welger DK115 trailer. We also have the Rabe EG39 cultivator, the Nordstein HK25 NS3030 Power Harrow seeder, and then we have the Topliner 4090H rain header trailer. And that is all of our starting equipment. Take a look at our mods and DLCs. You will see that there are no custom vehicles or implements that are part of this particular map. And we're going to just kind of stroll down the street to our starting farm because it's literally just a few houses down. Now, all of these areas here in town, they are all buyable. But for whatever reason, we cannot actually get into them, even if we own the land. It's a little bit of a disappointment because when I realized that they were all buyable, I thought, oh, maybe we could buy any one of these. Like instead, maybe we wanted this farm over here. But no, we can buy it, but we can't go into it. So for example, let's go to our lands. We'll pick up 78, which is right across the street from where we are. Nice $10,000, right? And now that we own that, well, can we open the gate? No, we can't open the gate. We can't open any of these doors, which is a bit of a disappointment. I think it would have been a lot of work for the map author to make all of these areas in town not only buyable, but also usable and sellable. But really, I'm not really sure why they're buyable if we really can't do anything with them. Maybe we're going to see that in a map update. Maybe not. Now, this farmhouse is part of the required mods. Again, if for some reason you would happen to be able to load this map up without the farmhouse, then you wouldn't see it here. But this is a farmhouse that we can enter. And I wanted to show you this house because this is really, really cool. I was really impressed with this window texturing, right? We can see through the window, but it's clearly got a kind of a textured pattern to it. This particular starting farm, we're going to have to sleep on the couch. We have our sleep trigger there. We have a kitchen inside another door with that really cool windowed texture. And I've seen those type of windows on doors in real life. It's just kind of the first time I've seen them kind of be applied to a farm sim window. Now here at this farm, we do have the ability to go into these sheds. There we have our starting tractor. We have our pig area, so we have our milk pickup point. We can hold 50 cows in this particular pig area. Inside, we have our food trough and our straw trough. Our farm silo is right beside the starting cow farm. We have our dump point there, or sorry, a fill trigger there, and our dump point inside. This is going to be a reversing nightmare with the dolly trailer. Good luck, everybody. But that is how we're going to put crops in here. And again, all of this, including the fence up here, can be sold. We can completely customize everything here at the starting farm. Now around back, we then have our slurry trigger for our cow pasture, our header trailer, our cultivator, and then field number 2, or sorry, farmland number 2, field 43, is here around back. Now before we dive into the fly around, I wanted to go into build mode because I wanted to show you some stuff. So under sheds, we do have included with the map, because we have this building for colony, we have a couple building mods that are included in the sheds. Silos, we have the building for colony silo that we see here at our starting farm. Then we also have a large bunker that is a part of this map. Silo extensions, base game items, so is tools, containers, and then our farmhouses. We then have the farmhouse mod. So we have the 2 farmhouses that are available at both of the ownable farms listed there. Under production, we've got all the standard base game production items. And we have the BGA that is pre-placed on the map. Sell points, we have the stone crusher. Greenhouses, orchards, and generators are all standard items. We do have both cow barns are available to be purchased. One that holds 30 cows, and then this one at the starting farm, which holds 50 cows. Then we have our base game animals for the rest of the animals on the farm sim. Then under decoration, we've got standard FS22 decorative elements. Or painting, that's what we want to get to. We do have a fair bit of painting textures. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of those down. So we have our animal mud. We have our asphalt, our dirt, forest ground, our grass, dry grass, another form of dry grass. We have multiple gravels. Then we have rock, but it's basically pavers. Concrete pavers. Some sort of lattice work type thing going on here. More kind of pavers. Then we have some stone. We're back to various gravels. And then we have our dirt. Taking a look at trees, we have all our standard trees. And then we have our standard plants. So a fair bit of ground textures are available. We have our lattices, our pavers, our various gravels. And all of these are conforming to the FS22 standards with respect to parallax occlusion and all of that fancy jazz. I'm going to go ahead and get set up for the fly around. We're going to fly around the map and then come back to our vehicle shop where we're going to jump into our Mahindra, drive around, and talk about the various other scoring aspects of this map. One of the first things I think you're going to notice when we get a little bit of altitude is this map is far from flat. This map has a lot of rolling terrain on the fields. And a very, I love these types of maps. Small, yes. Ideal for small machinery, yes. Ideal for the player that doesn't have a whole lot of time to really dive into a giant map with huge fields, yes. This map definitely has its place, and it's going to be, I think, loved by several players. But yeah, it's just a really beautiful map, and I would really love to see this map expanded in the future to include some of these currently out of bounds areas that we're currently looking at way off in the distance. So we're starting farm below, and again, we can indeed sell all of the buildings that are at the starting farm, so we can start completely from scratch there. Just down the street, we have our sell point, our farmer's market sell point. That's where we're going to sell most of our production items. Over here, we have a grain sell point, and this is also the grain mill. So this map includes 5 production areas. We have a BGA, a grain mill, carpentry sawmill, and a dairy. Now, this particular area is dual purpose, and this is going to be kind of where my first kind of gripe or issue with this map is found. So coming up here, we have to the left, we have the sell point. To the right, we have the grain mill. So to the left, we have the dump station for our sell point. To the right, we have the dump station for the grain mill. There is no marking on this whatsoever. So the only way you know which is basically looking at the PDA and the 2 hotspots. Now we have our interactive icon for our grain mill located right here. We're not going to keep pointing these out, but they are all over the place, and it really shouldn't be too hard to find those. Now, our pallet spawn point for the grain mill is located right here. As we make our way kind of around clockwise, the fields to our left are out of bounds. The fields to our right are in bounds. The fields off the hillside up there are out of bounds. The fields on the near side of that road or railroad track, those are going to be, in bounds. Yeah, so the first fields across the railroad track, those are inbounds. The fields further off are out of bounds. And at this point, you really can't tell. Really, the map author did a super fabulous job with respect to the map boundaries. So we've got our animal dealer. And then we have Farmland 137. So this is the second cow farm. This is a player farm. We can buy this land. And if we do buy this land, we will have the ability to sell all of the buildings on it. In fact, let's go ahead and buy that. Now that we've bought it, we do have our animal triggers popping up. Our sleep trigger is now going to be inside the house. And we'll take a look at that once we get around to the drive around portion. We do have a drivable train because we do have a train sell point. We have our BGA over here to the left. And if we own the biogas plant, we cannot sell the silage bunkers, which is a little disappointing. But what we can do if we own the BGA is we can actually sell the BGA itself. So with pumps and hoses, this comes to play is we could buy the biogas plant, sell the BGA, and then put down our own pumps and hoses BGA equivalent. Now over here we have several triggers going on. We have, this is going to be a dump point to put into our train silo. Here we have a dump point and a fill point to pull out of and put into our train. We have an output pipe here to pull out of our train silo into a trailer. We have a root crop sell point located right there. And then we have the rent train trigger located right there. Now we have the vehicle shop located right here. We're going to come back to the vehicle shop here in a little bit. We have our map fuel. And then the bulk of the rest of the sell points are going to be located here. So we have a bale sell point. We have a bulk lime buy point. We have our stone crusher. And then we have a sell point located under here. Now our starting farm is right there. Here we have the dairy. And then behind the dairy, we have our sawmill and our carpentry facility are both at the same area up here. And this can get also a little bit tricky. So down here we have our carpentry. Okay. So we have our dump station for our carpentry right here. We have our wood cell trigger for our carpentry right there. We have our pallet spawn point for our carpentry and our sawmill located right here. Which one is which? I honestly don't know. I'm thinking that this one here on the right is for the carpentry. The one here on the left is for the sawmill. So we have planks on the left and furniture on the right. Now on this side of the building, we have our interactive icon for our sawmill. We have our dump point and our wood cell trigger for our logs. And then as we saw on our way in, we then have the wood chip spawn point right there. We're just going to quickly make our way back over to the vehicle shop. That's where we're going to grab our Mahindra super fast and then do our drive around. Now, the keen eye among you may notice that looking at the mini map and looking at the PDA, there are tractor icons here. Just like our tractor icons over here. And if we walk up to these, the info screen in the lower corner says, we own these tractors. But we can't get into them. We can't use them. The game thinks we own them, but they're somehow coded to where that we don't actually have the ability to use them. They're not showing up in our starting machinery. They're just decorative here. But man, it would really be nice if we could make use of this stuff, kind of in a contractor fashion. Borrow it, if you will, from the shop. So in here we have our shop trigger. And let's go ahead and get our Mahindra. We have our vehicle spawn point right out front. Not the largest spawn point, but if you think about the size of this map, the spawn point is pretty spot on with respect to the size of the map, the size of the fields. You're not going to be buying big, giant machinery. Now, the dealer icon for maintenance, repair, and such is inside of here. So we have our dealer trigger located right here. And then the actual trigger for the dealer is going to be just outside the doors. So right here in this general area. Now, we don't have anything marked here as far as the hash marks to really delineate where that is. I would like to see that added also in a future update. So coming out from the vehicle shop right across the street, we have our fuel depot. And since it's such a small map, we really didn't have much time to go through any of the scoring metrics during our fly around, but we mentioned that this map has 5 production elements built in. They include a biogas plant, grain mill, carpentry, sawmill, and dairy. So we are going to give the map a full point there with respect to having production built in or areas set aside for such. Here we have our bale sell point. We are going to give the map a full point with having the ability to sell all of our base game crops, products, and production outputs. So here I have our bulk lime buy point. We have our stone crusher to process our stones if we play with stones enabled. And then right in the middle here, we have a trigger. This is going to be for PGR. PGR is going to be for some of our crops, no doubt. I think there are like 6 collectibles right in that area alone. Let's make our way over to the sawmill. And as we are making our way over to the sawmill, we'll do a little in-cab driving and talk more about our scoring metric. We are going to give the map a full point with respect to having the ability to customize our player farms. While there are 2 player farms on the map, we can sell all of the buildings and decorative elements at both of those player farms. In addition, we do have the ability to put down those custom buildings in some other orientation, should we so wish. So we do have total customization of the player farm, so we are going to give the map a full point there as well. I've kind of already given a rundown of where things are down here at the carpentry and sawmill facility. I do still want to drive through here, just so folks can kind of get a sense of how to get to one place from another. Not a huge fan of the static animals there outside the sawmill and carpentry facility. With respect to buildings using the new texturing technique, this one was subtle. The buildings in town are subtly using the new texturing technique, so we are going to give the map a full point there as well. It's not super prominent, but they are using the new technique as best as I could tell. Now, we talked about this during the fly around portion a little bit. This is both a grain sell point as well as the grain mill. So from this angle, the grain mill is to the left and the sell point is to the right. I do wish that they would be marked in some way. That way the player would not accidentally sell a crop that they were trying to take to the mill. We have our grain mill interactive icon right there. Then we have the pallet spawn point over here. We're going to double back run through town real fast. Because we have what I'm calling the farmer's market. It has a completely different name on the map. The farmer's market is located right here. And this is where we're going to bring the bulk of, if not all of our production items to sell. Cutting through here, you do get a good sense as to, again, the rolling nature of the terrain. Really well done forest area. The map author has done a very good job on this map, and he's done really good jobs on all of his other maps that he's done, not only in Farm Sim 22, but also in Farm Sim 19, and I think possibly even going back as far as Farm Sim 17. Now we're making our way over here to the animal dealer. The animal dealer is going to be located right here. And we do have animated animals at the animal dealer, which is always super nice to see. So there's that pin. And then right behind the animal dealer, we have then the second player farm. And the second player farm has another cow building associated with it. And there we have the entrance to the second farm. Second farm has another custom farmhouse. Really nice. We can go inside. We have the really cool windowing texture going on. Oh, took a wrong turn. And then here we have the bedroom. That's where our sleep trigger is going to be located. Right there. Not really sure why I can't hit it at the moment, but at any rate, that's where our sleep trigger is. Now here at the second farm, we've got a little bit of kind of greenhouse decorations going on. We can sell these. In fact, if we go here into build mode, if we just kind of hover over these decorative bits, we will have the ability to sell those. Do you want to sell a decoration for $1,000? Yes, and then those will vanish. You have our second cow pen. 30 cows in this facility. We have our milk point inside of here. We have static cows. Not so hot about the static cows, but we have our food trough. We have our straw trigger inside of here. From the back, we have our slurry point for our cows. And then we can make use of the rest of the building as storage. If we go up top, we do have 2 hatch access points where we could drop bales down there to feed our cows and put straw in. And then off in the distance, that's where the animal dealer is. That is basically the second player farm. Now the last scoring metric we'll go ahead and talk about as we make our way kind of down to the last 2 points of interest, and that is interactive areas being clearly marked. For the most part, they are marked very well on this map. I feel that the two triggers at the grain mill are a bit close together, and as such, maybe the player is going to confuse those, and as such, I would like to maybe see markers on them, kind of indicating one is for production, one is for selling, as opposed to kind of leaving it up to the player really to figure that out. We have the maintenance trigger at the dealership really not marked clearly, so we are going to take off 1/4 of a point there with respect to player in interactive areas being clearly marked. So we're going to give this map a score of 4.75 out of 5. Very, very respectable score indeed. So here we have the BGA. These biogas plant or biogas bunkers are permanent on the map. I was not able to sell those, but if I did buy the biogas plant land, then I was able to own the biogas plant, and as a result of owning it, I could also sell it. And since I could sell it, I could put down my own pumps and hoses BGA if I wanted to. Now we're going to make one final stop, which is going to be over here at a train depot that we've somewhat already talked about during the flyover portion. We've come back full circle to our gas station, our vehicle dealership. So we have a sell point here in the Burp Hole SP Zoo. Okay. Then we have the silo dump station. Then we have the silo train area. We have our rent train trigger, and then we have the train sell point itself. So again, over here we have our output and our input for trailers here at the train silo. We have our train output and input triggers located right there at the train silo. We have our rent train trigger right there. Then, of course, at the end of the lines, we have our train cell trigger itself. So, guys, let me know what you all think of Kolonia. I really like the map. If I didn't already have some things I was already invested into, I would think, quite frankly, a little bit about playing on this map. I like small Polish maps in general, and well, this map is definitely going to fit those bills for sure. Like I said, let me know your comments down below. Are you looking for this map, or did you play this map in Farm Sim 19? Are you glad to see it return in Farm Sim 22? And until next time, happy farming.